What's up, YouTube fragrance family and friends? Tommy with Studio Sense here, bringing you yet another video chock full of fragrance goodness, introducing you and getting you guys acclimated to ideas that maybe you've not thought of before in reference to men's fragrance. Today we're talking about a subject that I haven't broached yet before on my channel, and it is fragrance layering. Most men don't layer fragrance simply because they think it's something that only women do, or it's something that's too complex or outside of their purview. So when we come back, I'm going to show you guys some very simple principles and techniques that you can apply when it comes to layering. Just a few quick pro tips that'll have you layering like a pro. That and more is coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So yes, today we are talking about layering fragrance. That's not just something that aficionados or, frag heads as they're called, or women just do. I think a lot of times guys have this idea in their head, if it's something that when it comes to either, beauty or fashion, if it takes more than 5 minutes, that it's not something that you should be involved in or interested in. That's not the case. And even with layering, it's very simple. Once I show you these very few principles that you can apply in no time at all, you can literally be layering in the next 5 minutes and be good to go. And do it appropriately so that you can synergize the effect of your fragrance's performance and aroma, its smell. What I've done is I've chosen 3 fragrances and their layer partner that will help them kind of synergize them, extend their effects, increase their performance, and just make them smell amazing. So let's go ahead and jump into our first duo of fragrances. With just a few key principles, really there's just one. And it's simple and easy to remember. Start with the heaviest, end with the lightest, okay? So start with the heaviest, end with the lightest. So what that means is, for example, I'll show you an actual real-time example of what I'm talking about. Givenchy's Gentleman Boissé Eau de Parfum is an excellent, spicy, aromatic, cool weather fragrance, what you would term a spicy, oriental, or heavier fragrance for men, and I absolutely love it. So this is the fragrance that you would want to start with. This has black pepper, coriander, geranium, iris, cocoa, cedarwood, sandalwood, wood smoke in the background. There's lots of really cool nuances of wood smoke, and then patchouli, again considered a heavier fragrance. But check this out. So what you do is you take your heaviest fragrance that you want to mix between the two. You spray it on twice. I misfired on one of those. That's why I sprayed 3 times, but spray it on twice, right? Or however many, it's completely up to you how you want to do it. But typically the ratio is 2 to 1, or you can mix it up. Find that ratio or that sweet spot that's perfect for you. The idea of what you can mix with what is really going to be up to you and your creativity and how challenging that you want your fragrance to end up being. If you want to go with crowd pleasing, head turning, and compliment pulling fragrances that are for the masses, Givenchy Gentleman Boissé, a great fragrance to mix with that is from Lolita Lempicka Homme. Lempicka Homme is a great match for Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boissé simply because there has to be something in the pair that brings them together that they have in common, a common ground. For example, if you're using a very heavy fragrance with a lot of vanilla in it, then the complement fragrance, maybe you want to use something with more citrus, right? Something that's going to complement one another instead of clashing. You don't want to use a ton of amber in this fragrance and then your light or alternate partner fragrance have a ton of amber in it, right? Because you want something different to engage and to just like the synergistic effect, to synergize. For example, Lempicka Homme has aniseed, it's got violet and violet wood. Those are just a few of the many notes that make up this awesome fragrance by itself. It's a great fragrance. Very spicy, very kind of licorice. Iris and violet are often found together in fragrances. Givenchy Gentleman Boissé Eau de Parfum has iris, but it doesn't have violet. So violet, we're introducing violet as well as some other like denser but lighter notes like licorice, absinthe, a little bit of boozy there. So we're gonna mix that with a darker, richer fragrance. And the combination is gonna be really good because I've done this many times. This is one of my favorite combinations for fall and cooler weather. So you notice I put 2. Yeah, that's so good. Earlier, I sprayed 2 sprays of Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boissé. We're gonna spray 1 right in the middle. You can do 2 if you want, but typically the ratio is 2 to 1, 3 to 2, whatever you want to do there. Mix it up a little bit, however you like to do it. And once that dries, Give it about 10 minutes before you give your final assessment, because they often smell very different once they dry as opposed to when you first spray them on. This is an epic combination. I highly recommend it. Lolita Olympique Homme and Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boissé. Great combo. I'm trying to give you guys examples that are practical and realistic. You know how wintertime brings lots of thoughts of cafes, coffee, cappuccino, mocha, latte, whatever, as long as it's hot cocoa, hot chocolate. Well, this particular fragrance is a favorite among gourmand heads and fragrance heads and just anyone in general that likes fragrance and coffee. Ralph Lauren's Polo Red Extreme, one of my favorite fragrances that features coffee in a very rich aromatic way. We're going to use this as the base or the heavy. Remember, always start with heavy, end with light. So we're going to spray. This time I went with 3 shots. Along with coffee, this also has blood orange, so some nice juicy citrus there, and it's resting on a very rich, dark wood that is ebony wood. Those are a few of the fragrance notes that make up Polo Red Extreme. Now the alternate or lighter fragrance that we're going to end up with to mix these together also has a coffee vibe and a coffee fragrant note. So that's the gateway that brings these two together, and it is Pepe Jeans of London for Him. The flagship fragrance for Pepe Jeans. Really like this. It's a nice signature scent of its, in and of itself, but when combined with Polo Red Extreme, it really does synergize the coffee note in here and makes it stronger. And both of them together make for a much more complex fragrance than either of them apart. And that's the idea that you want to go with. So we're going to fire off 1 shot in the middle. If you want to get fancy, you can do 2, 1.5, whatever you want to do there. Allow it to dry. Ah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Such a great fragrance. Another of my favorites for fall. So while you don't want to bring together 2 fragrances that have all the same notes in common or that clash, you also want to create some contrast. So the contrast that Pepe Jeans of London brings to Polo Red Extreme. Polo Red Extreme has blood orange, but this has a burst of bergamot and mandarin orange. You've got lavender, nutmeg, amber, patchouli, and of course that coffee note that's the gateway note that introduces them. So once you start practically applying the principle of start with heaviest, end with lightest, you can start getting a little bit creative with actually how you apply. So typically, when people layer fragrance, they spray, just like I showed you, they spray, wherever on the pulse point. I just use this because it's easier to show on the camera, but you can quite literally spray anywhere on your body. So you spray that area, and then on top of that, you spray your alternate or partnered fragrance. However, a great idea to not only be creative, but to mix up how your sillage is created, your sillage trail, is to spray on one side of the body your heavy fragrance, and on the other side, spray the light. For example, and this is our 3rd and final duo of fragrances that I'll introduce you guys to in terms of layering. An epic signature scent from Giorgio Armani happens to be a great layering fragrance as well. It is Giorgio Armani's Armani Code Absolute. Not only Code Absolute, but Code Absolute Gold. Gold is just a little bit more fizzy, a little bit lighter, but it also carries the same DNA. Both of them are excellent. So it's really your choice, dealer's choice, what you want to use. This one has mandarin orange, apple, orange blossom, nutmeg. It's got carrot seed, but on the darker or heavier side, tonka bean, suede, and vanilla. So primarily when this dries down, you get that nice fixed base of tonka bean, suede, and vanilla combination. The fragrance that we're going to pair with this, also again by itself is a great signature scent, is a Tommy Hilfiger fragrance. It is Impact, released not that long ago. So if you're already thinking in line with my recommendations, you're going to know why I'm pairing these two together. That's right, the apple note. So the gateway note that complements one with the other, or at least introduces them, is apple in this one, apple in this one. Right away, you're going to get a really good fresh burst of juicy apple, but the contrast that's created is primarily from the darker notes. You've got resins, akigala wood, cedar wood, sandalwood, a heavier musk. Those are all within the base of Impact. And we already know that we've got vanilla, suede, and tonka bean in Armani Code Absolute. So what we're going to do is, again, start with the darkest. 3 sprays on your left hand, okay, with your dark fragrance. On your right hand is the partnered or complementary fragrance. You're gonna also spray 3 sprays. You're not gonna be able to tell immediately how these combined course, you want to combine them somewhere together on your body so that you can figure out that you actually like the combination. Once that is defined, then you can spray on whichever side you want. The reason that spraying on alternate sides of your body is a great idea, because when you walk, you're creating this slight vacuum of air around you, and that's what creates the sillage that combines these two fragrances, and the results are amazing. Like someone behind you, walking by you as you walk by, or passing you in the hallway at work or wherever the case may be, they're going to smell the combination of these two fragrances, and it's going to create a much more complex olfactive experience, a much more pleasurable olfactive experience. It really is not only a creative, but a great way to mix your fragrance. Again, get creative with it. Maybe choose your elbow or somewhere on your body, somewhere on your, you can even spray in your hair. If you've got longer hair and you turn your head, your hair moves, you're going to create a little bit of sillage there. Any opportunity for dynamic movement can create a great sillage trail. If you're ever interested in learning more about layering, I've left some website resources. Check those out. Some really cool resources, some great information. Just keep in mind that layering doesn't always mean on top of. It can be in addition to, beside of, alternate, on opposite ends. However you want to mix it up, it just always involves two fragrances that have some way to complement, some gateway fragrant note that introduces the two, or that creates a nice contrast. Never too much of one thing or a clash of opposite notes that don't do well together. It's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of experimenting to find your best combinations or duos of notes, but the results will be amazing and it'll be worth the time, trust me. Well, that puts a wrap on today's video about layering. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out today's topic. If you already have been if you're an aficionado of layering fragrance, men's fragrance, let me know some tips or tricks that you have found very helpful, and that way share it with our viewers in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for viewing my video today and supporting my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.